Warning, the following images are not suitable for Kevin Bacon.
No!
Look at that. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and the beer is chilled. So peaceful, isn't it? You know, it's times like this when I'm chilled out and relaxed with a beer that I start to think about what frightens me the most, and so here is part 2 of the horror series in True Review's top 10 most scariest games ever. Number 10. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Here we kick off with something downright depressing, and I know, it's really a thriller, but you have to admit, it did have its moments. The whole point of the plot in this game is that the end is coming. Look busy. Now that I come to think about it, that's also the plot in the Mass Effect series. With the unveiling of a conspiracy to awaken an ancient alien race of beings on Earth called the Ancients, this story covers a 2 millennia period in which several key characters from different ages will do battle against the forces of the darkest evil. The feeling of the entire game is that you're fighting a losing battle, which sets you up in the mood straight away. Aside from killing horrors, you will have to overcome puzzles and complete boss fights, all in the name of keeping your skin. But Nintendo realised that just going boo wasn't enough to get the audience scared, and so they introduced the Sanity Meter. A meter which, if left unchecked, will come back to bite you in the ass in the form of horrific hallucinations, a sudden change of your controls, or even the game's console itself crashing, only to come back on a few seconds later as a means of messing with your mind. With the possibility of anything happening to the game and the TV, the player is left in a very terrified and vulnerable state, and so that's why it makes this top 10 list. Number 9.
Alright, I know you're confused right now. I can explain everything, but you gotta trust me, okay? Listen, you're in terrible danger.
Dead Space 2. If Dead Space 1 wasn't bad enough, then in steps Dead Space 2. With the most memorable introduction to any game that I've ever come across, you're instantly thrown into the heat of it by running for your life from a massive group of necromorphs within the first second of gaining control of Isaac Clarke. The blood-spattered walls of the Ishimura are replaced with the chaotic and by no means vacant sites of the Titan facility orbiting Saturn. This time around, you're forced to battle the necromorphs like before, except this time, Isaac has changed. The effects of the previous game are getting to him, and the guilt of his ex-girlfriend is driving him insane, making him hallucinate constantly throughout the game. On top of that, he's employed a girl who doesn't trust him, and a guy who's already cracked, so there's not much to go in the way of support here. The fact that the Titan facility is quite large and with several floors means that the Necros can come at you from any angle at any time, meaning you're constantly on your guard. But to top it all off, you're also required to do a bit of open eye surgery, so I'd suggest you read up a bit about that before you start playing. Go to your local library, learn eye surgery, and then come and play the game. You'll know what I mean. Number 8. Doom 3. It's funny to think that this game is so successful and great, but not in the same way as its predecessors. Doom and Doom 2 set the mark for the FPS games and defined the shooter genre, whilst Doom 3 showed off the best graphics upon its release at the time and has been widely recognised as being one of the most scariest games ever made. Although it rarely wins the top 10 list on horror games, it does take the win on most appearances on horror game lists. It's become widely accepted that this is a great horror game, and for good reasons. The cold, dark military facility on Mars reminds you that you're all alone against the forces of hell, and what a disadvantage you're at. Despite being able to carry an entire armoury of weapons, you're up against demons from hell who can change shape, conjure up fire, and can teleport into any area of the map at any time. And that's probably the scariest thing about this game. You know what's coming, you just don't know when or where from they'll be coming. And to make matters even worse, you find out that you still don't have the means to close the gates of hell, so you need to get the soul cube, go into hell itself and shut the gates from there. Equipped with terrifying demons, dark corners, and regular hallucinations, this game will definitely give you problems getting to sleep. Number 7. Project 02. If you want a game that gets under your skin, then look no further. Set in an inhabited medieval Japanese village, you and your twin sister must survive the horrors that await. Well, inhabited is the wrong word, I guess. Haunted would be better. After a ritualistic sacrificial ceremony goes wrong, the entire population of the lost village is wiped out by the darkness from a hellish abyss, and then grounded in spirit form to relive their last moments of agony over and over again for all time. Your only means of defending yourself in this game is by using a special camera that has the ability to exorcise these ghosts. The complete lack of light, as well as the possibility of anything showing up from just around the corner, or even worse, right behind you, will break your confidence down to your lowest levels and then trample all over you. It is said that man has always been afraid of what he does not understand, and I have to say, I still can't get my head round it all, so I'm terrified of this game. Number 6. Gates to Asgard Episode 2 mod for Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Created as an independent fan-based mod for Oblivion by Cuckoo Studios, the second installment of the series brings a whole new meaning to the phrase "f***ed up." The last one had us all on edge due to the dark corridors, the claustrophobic rooms, the countless screams of agony coming at you from every direction, terrible visions, and stairways in the sky that seem to go nowhere. The second installment took all of that and times it by 1,000. After realising that your former friend's soul, Ashen Rose, can still be saved from damnation, you are set on yet another disturbing quest into the realm of suffering and evil, to which from you will come back scarred. From castles with moats filled with blood, to interdimensional portals that lead you to half-built cities in the sky inhabited by powerful undead warlocks, to underground dungeons filled with fallen knights, and all the way up to fighting creatures that look like a mixture between something out of Silent Hill and something H.R. Geiger would have made, this mod will serve as a good nail clipper, because you would have bitten off all your nails before this mod is over. Number 5. Resident Evil Remake. The remake on the GameCube perfected the original in ways we thought were impossible and reminded us of just how good the first one was. Every detail was enhanced, and not just in the way of graphics, but in all ways. Even the little ones. From glass being smashed, to the eerie atmosphere, the sounds of a zombie in the room but you don't know where exactly he is, and yes, the Crimson Heads still scare the shit out of you, this game is just as good as the original, except it looks better. Which means it is better than the original. With a mixture of elements that lull you into a false sense of security, which then turn around and back you into the corner of the room, Resident Evil will send chills down the spines of horror veterans. For the win! Number 4. System Shock 2. Before we had Dead Space, we had the honour of playing System Shock 2. Despite the fact that nowadays, not as many people have heard of this game, it quickly reached success upon its release and has since then gained a cult following. As a nameless character who is enrolled in the space military, you awaken your base station to realise that everything's f***ed up. Alarms are going off, parts of the ship are blowing up, you've lost your memory, the ship's AI's gone nuts, the other AI is evil, Most of the ship's crew is dead, some of them won't even stay dead, and a mysterious alien race called the Many have taken up living in the ship too. So, how'd you get your head around this one? Well, with very few bullets, a lot of luck and a whole ton of patience. Now you must navigate your way around the Von Braun, destroy the Many who want to absorb you into their hive mind, and to destroy them you have the assistance of an AI called Shodan who is your only ally. But to make matters even worse, your only ally in this game also happens to be your archenemy, due to the fact that Shodan had originally created the Many and is now trying to destroy them and then take over the galaxy. Combined with malfunctioning robots, zombie-like ex-crew members that apologise for trying to kill you, a race of aliens that want to eat you, an all-powerful AI hell-bent on universal domination, and those last 2 shotgun shells that you have left because there's no more ammo about is a sure recipe for a terrifying game. Number 3. Fear! A game that deserves such a title. Standing for First Encounter Assault Recon, the Point Man, that's you by the way, is assigned to this team, which is a special forces group that specialises in military matters involving the paranormal. After getting wind that a replica army is now under the psychic control of a mad cannibal, your team is dispatched to the town of Fairport and to the headquarters of Armacam, a company that deals in technology and weapons. Despite having an idea of what you'll be up against before going in, all expectations are quickly destroyed as you begin to realise that not only is something wrong here, but you're also being followed by an unknown force. After witnessing some of your squad mates being vaporized in front of you and having hallucinations of dead guys as well as seeing ghosts, the Point Man is quickly forced into a mission of desperation to reach his goals as quickly as possible in order to learn the truth. But all is not as it seems, as soon those who you've been thinking as the bad guys are not as bad as they first appear, and perhaps those who you've been trying to save are the ones that are responsible for what's been going on. This game is a fantastic buy, and you're investing your time well by playing this game. Everything is great, and you can easily immerse yourself into it and get scared until your heart's content. Number 2. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. What is it that all survival horrors have in common so far? That's right, you have a means of protecting yourself. Well, here we have a game that is terrifying enough as it is without removing weapons from the game, but no, Frictional Games decided to go ahead and do that as well. You play the part of the amnesiac explorer known as Daniel, who is awoken in Brennenburg Castle in Prussia in the year 1839. Having no idea of how he got there, Daniel soon comes across a note from himself, telling him that he needs to go down into the bowels of the castle and kill his former master, Alexander. However, it's not as simple as this, because just as you finish the letter, Daniel mentions that you're being chased by an evil presence known only as the Shadow. Daniel must make his way through the castle, completing different puzzles and trying to stay alive in the process. The castle is almost completely dark, and this wouldn't be a problem if the game didn't have a sanity meter installed. By staying in the dark for too long, Daniel will begin to panic and suffer hallucinations, and the only way to gain sanity is to stand next to a light source or by solving puzzles. The eerie sounds and noises that you'll hear as you walk down a dark corridor are only the beginning, as your own character begins to succumb to the wills of the castle. And if that's not bad enough, there are also twisted monsters throughout the castle looking for you. Staring at them will cause your sanity to drop, and if your sanity reaches 0, then you'll get spotted, and once you've been spotted, you'll have only 2 options. Run like or find a good hiding spot, and even then hiding doesn't always work. You have no weapons, so your only tool to save yourself in these situations is your wit, and sometimes you'll need to think fast on your feet. The atmosphere in this game will get to you at some point, and the fact that one of those monsters could come from anywhere, at any time, will have you on edge, and it is the helplessness of your own character's abilities that makes this game even more terrifying. Number 1. Aliens vs Predator 2. This only applies to the Marine campaign, though believe it or not, some of the Predator missions are actually quite frightening too. Despite the Alien and Predator campaigns being funny and entertaining, the Marine campaign gives us an entirely different experience, namely one that will make you shit your pants again and again and again. I mean, let's face it, you're not exactly a hunter in this campaign now, are you? Almost all the levels are dark, and you have no idea of what is waiting around the corner, or if there's something in the room next to you, or if there's an alien on the ceiling above your head ready to drop down. These things come out of everywhere, you're never safe. And the motion tracker doesn't offer much in the way of help either, because most of the time, you'll either get a reading and then it'll go, or it's just a bird, or there is an alien, but because it's so fast, it's ran out to you and is now eating you before the tracker has even detected it. The aliens blend into the background, and the only time you'll ever see one is from the light from your gun as you fire it, because your torch just ran out of juice 5 seconds ago when you really needed it. The predators are bastards as well, because they're invisible and they tend to stand still, so again, motion tracker, out the window. And these guys will stalk you first and scare you with their growls before making their kill. And don't get me started on the facehuggers. This game gets under your skin in ways you thought only acids could. It's the only game I've had to play in parts because I simply just cannot sit down and play it start to finish. I'd crack if I did, and although I love my horror games, this one is just too much for me. I absolutely love it, but I really don't want to play it again because it's that scary, and with that in mind, it claims the prize of number 1 on this list. Well, that wraps up the top 10 scariest game list. I'm aware that there are other games out there that really hit home with the horror that I haven't mentioned, and don't worry, I intend to get round to those in the near future. But if you have any suggestions into what you'd like to see in the next top 10 scariest game list, then drop me a line here or at the True Review page on Facebook. Stay tuned next time for part 3, where we'll be looking at the top 10 gaming moments that got to me. But until next time, don't let these games keep you up at night.